All right, switch is flipped. That's good news. I love it.
Oh no! Again, we forget our intro. Here we go. I really need to deal with that. So it's that kind of morning. Is it a Monday for anybody else? Hello, everybody. This is Anne, and welcome to Reaper Pro Tips, where we apparently forget to put our intro up and like get really groggy on Thursdays. How's it going? Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Hey, Karanico. Well, yeah, in the Pendrake in the starting screen, we do that. Like Justin is live, so he can chat with you guys while I'm getting ready. But I don't want you guys to hear if I'm talking, so I don't have my mic set up for that screen. Yeah, it's definitely a week of Mondays. Hey, Iffy. Awesome. Thursday is that date, huh? Yeah. Yeah, Pendrake. I had an up and down kind of night. Haven't been sleeping well lately. I mean, at least Kiri didn't get me up in the middle of the night last night, so it's slight improvement, right? But good morning. So yes, I'm a little bit sleepy, and like that kind of feels like Monday kind of day. She is sleeping, and she did sleep through the night last night, so that's good. So Kiri's doing okay. Thank you for asking. She's actually a pretty happy dog today. She had a happy smile on earlier. I think she might have gotten a little bit of David's fried egg, so, that makes a dog very happy. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, it's not even, it's the last couple of months, right? Right, Twisted Oma. It's more, I don't know. It's just, every day, I started to get it dialed in a few weeks ago, so it's stuff. It's just, yeah, when you don't sleep well, you feel like you're just groggy for the first hour of the morning, and then you get grumpy because you hate being groggy for the first hour of the morning, and then you curse the day and say that it's a Monday. Poor Thursday. Yes, hashtag good girl Kiri, exactly. So because I was like grumpy and slow this morning, and also yesterday we talked about textures, but guys, I just don't have anything that Reaper does that's big enough to do a lot of textures on, except for like the ship's figurehead, and I just don't have it primed. I don't have it prepped, so it is what it is. And so we're just gonna paint something today. That's what I decided. Didn't have enough oomph to like figure out anything like crazy or awesome. I did put in an order with Reaper yesterday to get some stuff to do specific effects on. So there is that. But today I'm just like, we're gonna paint. I don't know. It's really sleep, Twisted Oma. It really, really is. If I don't get good sleep, I am just not with the world. Sleep is like super important to me, so I normally prioritize it. But if I have a restless night, it can just be rough. Sleep is important for everybody. Like, there's a book out there about sleep that everybody should read, and it will horrify you at what lack of sleep is doing to you if you read it, but you will resolve thereafter to get good sleep if it's the last thing you do. Hello, Jay. I decided I'm gonna do... What color is that? Is that gonna work? I think that's gonna work. I don't know. Maybe not. I haven't decided. Meh. So we're gonna paint a dress. We're gonna paint it with stripes. I've decided. That's what I've decided. So let's go to the mini cam. And we're just gonna paint something. We're gonna paint it in purple because purple. And Justin, do you want to tell them? Let's see. Actually, I have this. I have this information. One second. Getting off camera because of course I think I put a sticky note. Yes, of course, on the back of my laptop because my laptop was closed. All right, I now know can I tell you our special thing, Justin? I was thinking about.
Go ahead.
All right, so because it's me, guys, and because purple. Because purple. I was thinking about our big giveaway to give away at 60 subs, was it? And I decided that it would be kind of cool to give away the transparent portal stuff. So like the Mystic Portal and the Shadow Hound and the Shadow Tentacles. And also a set of some of my favorite purples. So like 9239, Monarch Purple that I talk about all the time. And of course Runic Purple, Styx Purple, Nightshade Purple. All those awesome purples that we have. Clear Purple, you name it. So I thought I would do a purple giveaway for my first ever giveaway. I thought that was extremely applicable to me. What do you think of that, Justin?
Sounds fantastic.
Yay! Also, I think that Mystic Portal is fantastic that Andy did, so I think that everybody should want a Mystic Portal. I do not have Drownable Pink Tazlanch, so I cannot do it, and technically that's a pink. Yeah, I can't do anything. Essentially, I can't arrange a giveaway, like, with something that I can't make sure is on hand, right? So... I'd have to reach out to Sadie, but I don't want to interrupt production because I know how rough the paint department can get. And she's been working, at least when when I left, she'd been working by herself. So I don't want to put a lot of strain on the paint department if I can avoid it at this time. I'll be happy to reach out to Sadie at some other time. But Drownable Pink, though, you just kind of have to give up until, like, it's around ReaperCon, because Drownable Pink, at least in my mind, has always been a ReaperCon color. So, If you, here, let me get this in focus. So if you want it, you should wait till ReaperCon. Otherwise, it's not special anymore, in my opinion. That's why I always did it just for ReaperCon. Hello, Nomad Zeke. Anyway, this is Juliana Herbalist, of course, one of the cutest little models ever that we have done. Done by the inestimable Bobby Jackson, I believe. Yes. And she's adorable. And she has a cute little dress on. And I thought I would do stripes on it. So I don't think I've ever, you know, painted stripes for you guys. And it's not just like putting stripes on the dress, it's actually highlighting and shading the stripes on the dress so that they look like, you know, they should be there. So I thought I'd go with a vertical stripe pattern on this. And I'm kind of still deciding what color, although I may just go with a creamy off-white. Thought about going with yellow, but yellow can be very hard to shade and highlight. Maybe I will, though, just because it's more difficult. So we're doing some runic purple, I decided, for the first bit. Let's see here. And that's her bag, so I accidentally painted part of her bag, but who cares? There. You can wish all you want. It won't get you Drown Nipple Pink. Well, it might. Actually, pestering Ed is the far more effective tactic there, because Ed doesn't, like, have my opinions on the special paints should stay special, and so he's more likely to bend and say, sure, why not, you know. Yeah, so one thing I miss not being on site is the ability to make a new color just at the drop of the hat if I wanted a special color. Or if I had an idea for a color. Here we go. Now, right, she has a little apron on, but the rest of the dress should be purple. That's what I thought. Even though she's got a seam here between her sleeves. I guess you could paint her with a vest on as well, but... Hey, Ghost! Thanks for the sub. 8-month streak. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the most excellent townsfolk ever have come out in the Dreadmere faction, or the Dreadmere box set. Really, she's one of them. As well as you know, all the models I've been painting lately, just the cool creatures. Really, really a lot of really good models in Dreadmere. Let's see here. There's the belt. There we go. And I may be wrong, and there may be different parts to this dress that I'm missing, but I'm just going to go with it. I could make her sleeves different, except that, well, yeah, I'll just make the cuff the different color. Usually, if you're going to have a contrasting color on a dress, the lapels and the cuffs are going to be the contrasting color, unless she's wearing a vest, in which case the sleeves would be different. And she does kind of have the suggestion of a vest here, but since you can't see her front, it's really hard to tell. So I don't know that I'd want to paint it like that, because it might be hard to carry the concept. Oof. Allergy day today, I can tell. I took my allergy pill last night, and it's a 24-hour pill, and I'm already, like, feeling congested. It's going to be one of those days. The world is just set to give me a Monday today. I don't know what it is. Like, what did I do, world? What did I do to offend you? Did I not paint enough purple? Like, seriously. Alright, so we've got a nice start on that. Yeah, well now, see, now the full Lips and Nips paint line is totally up to Sadie. You know, if I make her apron an off-white, that means I need to do the stripes in something else. Maybe I should do pale blue. Choosing colors. This is a good lesson in choosing colors as to what stripes you could do on her dress. So let's see here. we have as options a pale yellow. We could also go with... Well, I don't really want to use a pale... See, if we do this, it's too loud. If we go complementary or start going toward complementary, I think teal and purple is way too loud. I want to go a little bit more neutral. Otherwise her dress is like, she has a big fashion issue. Let's see here, what have I got? Tropical blue, that's not light enough. I could make it light enough. But I want a light stripe. So, let's see, we could also go... Not sure where my stained ivory ran off to. There it is. Could go ivory, but I'm going to go that with the apron, so I also have to keep that in mind. I think maybe pale blue. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for pale blue on the stripe. It was either like yellow. We can try the pale blue and see. So first, I think I want to do the stripe in a white. And mostly we're going to be doing it down here because up here it's a little bit... I'm going to have to try a little harder to carry a stripe. We could also do a gingham, like we could do kind of a plaid, a cross plaid with her. Let's first grab our white. If I'm going to do any color pattern on anything, I tend to underpaint it in white first. So that before I even put a color, I don't even have to commit to a color at first. I can work out my pattern first. Hey, math file. Yeah, I could do a yellow apron with off-white. The problem there is, though, to Tuckerman, is that these colors are very similar. And remember with miniature painting that your best bet is to go with contrast. So you could have this, which these colors are all a lot alike, so it's really not gonna necessarily, go well together. Or you could go with this, and now you have a bit more difference, right? You have some more contrast. You not only will have a contrast between, I'll take this lighter, the blue going on the dress, but you also will have a contrast between the blue and the ivory. So you have to kind of look at everything together and question yourself on, will this work? And it depends on how bright and garish you want the models to look. Maybe she does just have bad fashion sense, but yeah. I'm not even thinking of hairpin drake at this point. With purple, you could go any color except red, and you could even go red if you went orange with it. So I usually base hair color kind of on the personality of the model and the situation. So for me, it's the obvious answer is to use yellow because it's the complement for purple. So you could go blonde. That's easy. You can always go black because black is a neutral. You can always go dark brown because dark brown is a neutral. And dark brown and brunette would be good with this purple as well. You could only... The reason I say don't go red is because this purple is a reddish purple. And the closer two colors are in the color wheel, the more they fight, which is the same problem that you come here, because a cream is technically a yellowish neutral, a yellowish brown, and then you're dealing with a yellow. So these colors are very close to each other on the color wheel, and that's why they don't look great together. So that is the dealio. But I am not thinking about hair color at all right now. What I do is with colors is if I don't know, if I honestly go into a model not knowing, I just start with the color that I definitely want to use, and then I work outward from there. I'm like, okay, well, what's my next color selection? Okay, won't clash with what I've got. What's a good contrast with what I've got? The other way I could go, if I had wanted to do yellow stripes, is I could go with a gray shadow or a blue shadow for my apron. That would work as well. It would be a little brighter. Let's see here. And going off-white with the apron in a traditional sort of way also lets me do dark leather on this strap here and dark leather on this bag for more contrast, right? Because then you've got a medium color, a light color, and a dark color. So that's color composition. You want to keep varying that up as you go and kind of make your choices accordingly. So I also haven't decided whether she's dark-skinned or light-skinned yet, so, All right, let's figure out this stripe. Probably my paint is down to about 2 to 1. between 3 to 1 and 2 to 1 paint to water. Hey, Crispies. Right shin bone. Yeah, there is one. I mean, it's really easy to, it should be easy to take off with a knife though. So come at it with an angle here, like you're giving her a close shave, and kind of scrape lightly to take off a little bit of that mold line. It's not a big one on mine. I would definitely use a knife with a sharp tip because you could actually get this in there, whereas a file you're gonna have a really hard time with. So just scrape it off, and there you go. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I do it all the time, Francis, if I don't come into a piece. There are sometimes I'll come into a piece with a very, very clear color scheme. And other times where I'm just like, I'm not sure, but I know I want this color, so there you go. And sometimes it's as simple as like, okay, I know I want really pale skin, or, oh, I know I want, a dark skin on this model. So let's see. Let's start usually with a freehand pattern, and that's what stripes are. And if I make it a plaid, I make it a plaid. I just start somewhere in the middle. And then I try to decide like how wide I want my stripe. I still have my base coat open, so I can play around with this. I want a vertical stripe. And I am blocking it in since I want a light colored stripe on this purple. That's why I'm under blocking it with white, so that'll make the stripe stay lighter. Now where am I gonna, let's see here. So let's try a gingham. Let's try a kind of a squares instead of a stripe. See if I like it. How narrow or wide your stripes are and how many of them you have should be dictated by how much room you have to work. So if I had a lot less room to work here, then I should probably make my stripes narrower and closer together. As the fabric turns, you can also make your stripes a little bit off, because, you know, they wouldn't all necessarily go straight up and down as the fabric starts bunching. So technically, I should correct this one. Make it go a little bit, because it's good. The fabric's going to bunch together at her waist. So that means that I need this to be a little bit tilted. We need to get, not video game tilted, but, you know. No, you're not seeing things, Kendrick. It totally had a mold line. It was a very, very slight mold line on mine. Hopefully not too bad on yours. I mean, there have to be mold lines somewhere. It's just part of the molding process. It's just spotting them. And that's part of this, this wanting to bunch the cloth together also, guys, is another reason to just use kind of a thin white to block in your shapes, because it's so easy to just touch it up with some of your basic runic purple then. So let's do that, make this a little bit off. Now my lines are getting a little bit close together there, and this one's a little bit too widely spaced, so I'm going to actually wipe it out and do it again. Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of times while we tilt while we paint, but in general we try to avoid that. There. So now I know roughly, I've got my spacing down. I think this is a good spacing for her. It'll let me suggest a stripe up here and a stripe up here. I can do some stripes down the back, and we'll try to do a crossed pattern here with some horizontal lines as well, just to see how it looks in a moment. After I obviously need to let that dry. So let's see here. This stripe. Okay, so you might be tempted to bring this up and just put a stripe up there. But in reality, I think it's far more effective and easier if you do the same thing on the back that you did on the front, and just start in the middle and go out. And that way you make sure that this is spaced correctly with the stripe there. Instead of trying to put a really difficult stripe here and then bring them around this way. Nobody's going to count. Nobody's going to like be going, oh no, this stripe looks like it doesn't match up. You know, you don't know, right? The fabric's bunching together. It could be anywhere. So I would start in the middle on the back and not overthink it. The basic tenet of freehand is don't overthink it. Don't get too crazy about it. It's the same thing about color wheels, which I totally am going to do a little thing for my Patreon, I think this month, about don't overthink the color wheel. The color wheel is a very simple tool, and a lot of artists make you think that it's like I don't know, that you have to use it, that there are innumerably complex things about it. And it's like, really, I don't find that to be the case. It's useful if you can't remember the order of the rainbow, I guess. And if you can't remember that colors across from each other are complements. Now there is a different, I mean, there's the classic complements, and then there's the complements, like there's different alternative complements, like David likes to talk about. I should get him on that tomorrow. Remember, my boyfriend is going to be streaming tomorrow. He's decided too that he's going to go pretty much just going to paint things like he normally paints things, which is probably going to blow you guys' minds. Because he works very organically. I work one section at a time. David works on everything. So you'll get to see an extremely different painting style tomorrow when he takes over. And I hope you like the base he put on the model, because I think it looks really cool. Alright, so we've got some there. Now here I probably am going to follow this around the side, because here if I tried to start back here, yeah, so this might force it. Okay, so instead of starting in the middle back here, I might be forced to actually carry around this way, because there's all this cloth here that's very open that everybody will be able to see. So then I do need to actually worry about, you know, on the other side I could just hide it, but on this side I actually have to worry about how things are doing. Now remember that, you know, obviously the fabric is bunching together at her waist, so you're going to have kind of a sun ray pattern, right? You're not going to have just straight lines. You're going to have them tilt and spread out a bit at the bottom. So that's how the fabric will go. So keep that in mind. That's why this line is closer together at the top and farther apart at the bottom. And once again, these are not perfect lines, but, you know, I have plenty of time to make them better. So, and of course it's going to round a bit as it goes over her knee. Again, don't get to like too obsessed about it. I mean, don't get too obsessed with what you perceive to be realism. As long as the effect carries and it looks okay, you're good. I do think there needs to be a little bit of rounding here as it goes over her knee and curls back. Let's see. Now it's hard because now I have to figure out where the top of this stripe is, and I think it's around there. And then I need to kind of carry it down in the back. Well, they go around the, like, pay attention to the surface, right, Pendrake? Boom. There's a curl here in the cloth, right? There's a curl on the knee. So the stripe is also going to curl. That's just the way the fabric is going to go. So just think about things as they are. Don't just look at it like a flat surface. And then it is going to go out like that. So see, you've got to bend it, because if she was standing up, it would be straight, but she's not. It's bent. Her knee is bent, so the fabric is going to bend with her leg, and the stripe is going to bend. And once again, you don't have to be perfect about this. It just has to look more or less right. Like, you have to see that the pattern is bending according to the figure. There. Oh, yeah, on the side. She is a good mini. I like all of the Dreadmere townsfolk quite a bit, actually. Let's see here. I got a little wide at the top for that. I need to touch that up. Stripes. Stripes are one of the easiest, aside from all of this bendiness that we're talking about. Stripes really are one of the easiest freehand things to try if you've never tried freehand. So, if you are looking to try freehand with something easy, you can always try borders and stripes. And then if you just get more complicated with it from there. Let's see here. All right, so once again, it's going to be close together at the top. It's going to spread out as it goes down. It's going to hit under here somewhere. It's going to come out at the bottom. And where it comes out should be the same equidistance where you're looking at here. So how far apart these stripes are here. Oh no, I blurfed. Just a little blurf. That's easy. How far apart these stripes are here should be similar to how far apart they are here. So that's how you know. And here I could just stop and just pretty much just dab in all my stripes. Add in the bottom of, oh, that was a little close. Oh well. Bottom of her hem. So just kind of put little dots to suggest them. And then I can get back to this. Now we need to kind of sunray these out again so that it's more or less vertical by the time we hit here. So yeah, I know the feeling, Twisted Doma. I was looking around for something I felt inspired to paint last night, and was looking at all my boxes in the closet and was just like, oof, I do not even want to pull these out because it will bury me for an hour. So I ended up working on my Creepy Tables Dryad bust instead because she was out. There we go. And by the time we get back to the middle, we're more or less vertical. And we can go more vertical here. She is kind of curved, like her lower torso is curved up and then she's curved back. So this is not, these being slightly slanted is not out of line. But I want to be vertical by the time I get here. So that is what we're doing. That's pretty good actually. And then I can carry that stripe up because I can see it. This stripe right here is going to go right up onto the arm. So now from that we have our placement of the stripes on the upper torso. So now I know that I can do a stripe here. And I can do a stripe here. And I can do a stripe here. And here. Oh, that was a little wide. And here. So we're giving her pinstripes. Well, they're not thin enough, probably not thin and frequent enough to be pinstripes, but you know what I mean. So I've got my my frequency of stripes now. And I can just put a thin slash to mock them in, and then I can widen them. So this is just like kind of marking out where you want your design to be, and then widening it. And this is where I'm starting to think, like, what am I going to do with these sleeves? Like, really, they're stitched differently, so I probably should put, like, a horizontal stripe there. I don't know. This is where Freehand Patterns... This is where when you're looking at a model and deciding whether you want to do a pattern on it, you have to kind of think about, is it a good model for this? Or are there going to be problematic areas on the model that are going to interrupt my pattern? Like, what am I going to do with these sleeves? I really probably should do straight lines here. So they'd be vertical if our arms were down at her side, but they're not. So probably I need to treat them as a separate area because they definitely have a seam. And here I probably just want to mark them so that I get a clear pattern on both sides of the figure. So I'm not going to worry about matching up, you know, the stripes here with the stripes on the front. I'm just going to paint them so they're clear. So I have a clear pattern. So let's see. And then I'm going to widen them out, and then I'm going to color them. So here we've got, I'm going to actually put a stripe here on her front, which we didn't do previously. There. Just got to get a suggestion of the pattern everywhere so that it does actually look right. Got a little bit too much paint on my brush. Going to put in the stripe. 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 There, and then this stripe is going to be horizontal because it would be vertical if her arm was at her side, but and here I actually could carry it, like once I pick a spot, I can carry it around the whole arm because I can clearly see it progress from the front to the back over the top of the model. So that means that I do need to pay attention to how it connects front to back. Got a little bit blurfy, but that'll be easy to touch up. Especially because the white is not the actual color of these stripes. It's just the color we're using to place hold. And the stripes on this side are definitely thinner than the stripes on this side. We'll adjust all that. Mostly we just want to mark where are our stripes. That's what we want to do right now, is we want to put a little mark to say, okay, there is a stripe here. Now we'll play with the stripes and make them better. There. Need to touch that up. Now we can continue striping. We're almost done with marking in our stripes, then we will fill out our stripes. Oh, let's see here. There's a stripe. So it looks like, in other excitingness, that restaurants here in California are going to start being open for outdoor eating soon, outdoor dining. Isn't that exciting, Justin?
It is actually. We ate at Outback last night
Oh,
here
yeah.
because we're
Sweet.
But sorry, I was typing email. But because Texas is about to shift into I think phase 3, so we'll have 50% capacity inside of restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah, we're basically, for all intents and purposes, I mean, there's a lot of like stuff in place, but we're basically open in every way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting. They have not approved indoor dining at all here in California. Um, Only outdoor, which, given the spread stuff, of what we know about it seems to be pretty cautious, and I'm okay with that. I'm just happy that pretty soon we can eat outside because the weather here is nice enough. Unlike, when it's 100 in Texas, you really just don't want to eat outside.
Right. The problem is, as soon as they opened up restaurants here, like even the slightest bit, like 10% or something, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of restaurants that just kind of went full blown. Like they opened their patio, and because it's outside, people huddled in together, and patios were full with people just shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Um, and they just didn't care. Obviously, you can choose to not eat at those places if you really don't want to take those risks, but it just seems unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how they do it here. I suspect there'll be social distancing tables outdoors, is my thought. But yeah, oh, rural Wisconsin Krispies. Yeah, interesting. Let me see here. I'm just trying to get her, make sure she stays in focus for you guys. I'm going to put a little water in my purple here. Used it full strength on the bones, of course, for the base coat. Also, hopefully you all noted that runic purple also covers really well, so it is a purple that covers great onto bones. I only had to do one coat. Yeah, I mean, we've been eating. I mean, I stopped when I started conserving my budget. I stopped eating out except for Saturdays. So we've been kind of doing the same thing here in California. We've been cooking for 6 days of the week, and then about once a week we'll order out just because we like to support the local restaurants. But it will be really nice. What we really miss, because David and I are kind of foodies, is we miss going out to really nice restaurants together. Like that, we miss the fact that we didn't get to celebrate when I first moved out here by going to one of the really nice restaurants around here. So this lets us go to a really nice restaurant again every once in a while, which makes us happy. We do love good food. And I cook really good food. We cook really good food together, but it's still nice to not have to cook it or to clean it up.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I got some lamb shoulder chops on sale yesterday, so I'm looking forward to doing those up. Haven't decided what I want to do on them. Did a mint pesto for lamb last time, and that worked really well. I might do that again. It wouldn't have been an Ann stream, Justin, if we didn't get onto food at one point.
I mean, I do love my food. And what
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done in a long time, and I realize now at least like 2 or 3 weeks, that I haven't made a steak in my skillet. It's been a hot minute.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been um feels like it's been a lot more fast paced and chaotic, I think, between work for both of us and just we have a lot of shorter order meals prepared versus the full blown. Although that is pretty quick to cook,
Oh, yeah.
we just haven't gotten any. Also, availability has been kind of rough. Every time I find them, at least in the last week, they haven't been very good looking. Like they weren't
Yeah.
well marbled. They just didn't look good.
Right, yeah. And with especially with steaks and red meat, you just want it to kind of jump out and say, "Oh my god, I've got to eat that." So, I totally get it. I do miss having so many good steaks available in Texas. Like always I could almost always guarantee like good sales and good looking meat when I went to Kroger on the weekend. Like at least for something. Maybe the ribeyes wouldn't look good, but the tenderloins would look good, or something. So, I do miss all of that. I maybe when things open up a bit here and I can go to Whole Foods more, I can they've got really good looking steaks all the time. Not
And I
cheap.
think that if I find more ribeyes that don't look that great, I might actually finally pull the trigger on doing some dry aging.
Oh
Just
yeah.
to, you can make any crappy steak better by aging the hell out of it.
Well, yeah, and hey, the rule of COVID is, finally get around to doing all that stuff that you've wanted to try but didn't have time for.
Right?
So that would be completely in line with COVIDness. There we go. So now I'm widening out the stripes, obviously, to make them more solid and make sure that their width is more or less consistent. Again, you don't have to be perfect on this sort of thing. You just have to get close enough so that it looks right. And I'm not going to care if I paint a little bit over the belt here. I'm going to line around the belt anyway, or this sash later anyway, so I can touch it up. Oh, let's see here. I got to get that front one. That one's going to go down into the apron a bit. And I'll have to use some purple to touch up and slim down some of these ones that got too wide too. And a little bit knobby. Takeaway avocado sushi burrito. Yum. That sounds fantastic. I want sushi.
Yeah, that's. I feel like I haven't had good sushi in a hot minute. Just because you can get takeout sushi, but I don't feel like it's ever as good.
Yeah, it's much better going to the restaurant. Like we do order some sushi takeout from the place that's just down from us on the corner. Like it's only a block away. I have a sushi restaurant a block away, Justin. Holy crap, huh?
Yeah.
Like that's the okay, I can see why, because I've never been a city mouse. I've always been like a country or more suburbia rural mouse. But I'm turning into a city mouse when you could just walk down the street and grab sushi. Like I can see why the attraction of living, on a street with restaurants and things right there, so it's 2-minute walk. It's pretty crazy.
Especially when you know the ocean is what, 45 minutes away,
Yeah,
basically?
yeah. 45 minutes. If that. Technically 40, I guess, depending on where you go to the ocean. But yeah, this is a pretty nice place to live. I'm coming around to it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Miss Ann.
Yeah, my allergies have been kind of up in arms here and there, but that's to be expected moving to a new place, so. Alright, so we're just making these stripes a little more solid. And then I gotta get up here on the shoulders and fix these stripes. And make them maybe a little further apart. Although the shoulders are bunching, like the fabric is bunched, so you can get away with making your stripes a little closer together here. So now it's more consistent with the rest of the stripiness. And this stripe needs to get a little more solid. And I need some purple in there. Okay, got too close on that. Yeah, I used to have a sushi place within 10 minutes of me driving, but it is definitely interesting to have one like 3 minutes for me walking. Only the need of budgeting has kept me from indulging more often, I'm afraid. All right, I need to use some of my purple to skinny down some of these lines. This line has definitely gotten a bit clunky. Essentially, the more work you do to neaten up your lines before you start putting the colors down, the more work you're saving yourself later. That's a nice daffodil. Yeah. It's nice to have any sort of food you would want. I lived, when I was still in Denton, living in my little house, I was right near, a pretty good Indian place and a wings place and my favorite sushi place. So 10 minutes away. Not too bad. And only 10 minutes because it's smaller roads with lower speed limits. But yeah, we've got. I do love that there's so much good Thai and Indian food out here in the Bay Area. Like, that's something I felt like was lacking. A good Indian place. I just didn't have one in Denton. That wasn't. That was anywhere near. We have a couple very close to us, so that's nice. Oh, that's nice, planer. Yeah, 5-minute walk. Yeah, I love Asian food. I like to cook my own Chinese most of the time because I like to be able to not put cornstarch and some other stuff in it, but so I can control the ingredients a little better in the Chinese. But, I mean, Chinese is not hard to make in general. And use gluten-free soy sauce, of course. But otherwise, I don't, I like ordering out Thai or Indian food. There's an Indian place we really like that is just down the street, like 2 or 3 blocks away. It's quite good. Alrighty. Let's look at these guys. These guys have some definite blorfs. Let's fix those blorfs. Oh yeah, there are restaurants and there are restaurants. Yeah, we have to drive a bit. If we want to go to a real foodie place, a fancy restaurant, then we do have to drive a bit. We have to go to San Jose. There are good restaurants in Mountain View, but I don't know that there's a top-notch chef in Mountain View. But Sunday is my 2-month anniversary of moving here, so we're thinking about trying to go to a really nice place for that. We shall see if we can get in. Alright, so that's a little better. This is pretty good. Got our stripies. That sleeve. That's right, we gotta do our sleeves. Then I can do the blue. Stripey 1, stripey 2. And again, we can make the stripes on the sleeve just a little closer together and a little more narrow because they're bunched together. The fabric is bunched there. Now I do need to kind of watch it here, and we will want to definitely paint this seam here so that it's obvious there is a seam, and that's why the stripes slightly change direction and don't match up perfectly. In fact, we might want to carry this stripe right up the side. Let's see how that works. And there's a stripe under here that I kind of neglected. There we are. All right, one more sleeve and then we'll put some blue on these. But yeah, I guess the steaks haven't looked that great around here either recently, Justin, because I haven't bought any. I've been buying lamb instead because it's been on sale. I think lamb's in season in New Zealand right now, so I'm seeing a lot more lamb. Though a couple weeks ago I did get a kick-ass grass-fed ribeye that looked amazing. That was very good. But it's definitely the exception and not the rule. Yeah, we've got our stripy things getting a little bit better there. Yeah, the year of non-celebrating special events. Yeah, for totally. Yep. Nice, Francis. Yeah, I can make curry. Like, I can make, but even then, my curry tends to be more West Indies because I like the flavor profile when I make it. I don't really make Indian food. Though it would be an idea. I mean, a lot of it is fairly simple. It's just learning the spice profiles, right? And the marination techniques and stuff like that. So it's okay if the stripes converge a bit where they go into her cuff because, again, they're bunching up. So they're going to get more close together. All right. So now I'm just going to eyeball it. And actually, this looks good. This looks good. Now, we're not worried about shading or highlighting any of these stripes yet. Oh, I definitely need some help up here. We just want to block in our colors first. Then we're going to shade and highlight. I could have painted the purple, like done it all before this, but because I've chosen blue, chances are I may be able to do a lot of shading with the same color over both the purple and the blue. So I took a chance and did not highlight and shade my purple before I put down the pattern. Normally with freehand, it's a little bit better to at least get a basic base coat, highlight, and shade onto your figure before you throw a freehand pattern over the top, because then you don't have to worry about painting underneath it, right? You don't have to worry about where your shadows are. But since I've got a purple and a blue and they're similar, I could use a dark blue to shade this purple, or even a dark purple, and paint those shadows over both the blue and the purple. Same thing if this was pink. I might be able to get away with it with this also, with my ivories, but it would be a little bit more titchy maybe. All right, I don't like this sleeve, so I'm going to change it. I did make my stripe quite closer together here, and then it was a little bit low here, so we're going to fix it up. There we go. Stripes. Stripes are fun. There, that looks a lot better. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we actually have a barbecue place. Like, who knows, right? It's California. So Texas, quote unquote, barbecue in California can be, you know, hit or miss. But it smelled good when we wandered by on a walk the other day. So maybe we'll have to check it out. See if it is at least decent Texas style barbecue. Because I don't have a smoker, so I'm not going to be making myself a brisket anytime soon. And that's almost the style of thing that I'd like to keep to the experts anyway. And there's a certain labor of love of doing, you know, a brisket all day for, you know, 8 or 9 hours. I don't know if I'm willing to put that type of work into it. There we go. All right, and now our front stripes also look good. You kind of get kind of a, you know, look at her from different angles. Our stripes are looking good. She's very stripy. Awesome. I like it. Wearing her pattern dress. I decided not to do the vertical stripes for now. I'll think about it. I'll think about it later. I'm going to start with a tropical blue, and I actually would normally start a shade lighter, but it's buried in my box, so I'm just going to add some white to the tropical. And the reason, now, I usually tell you, and I did even this stream earlier, that normally I wouldn't use a color that was too close to its another on the color wheel. So why, then, can we use a blue and a purple? They're right next to each other on the color wheel. Well, the reason is that this purple is very red. So what that does is that slides it further toward red on the color wheel. So say this is, this is your purple, this is your, you got purple, got indigo, got blue, got green, got red over here. So because this is a reddish purple, it actually moves a little bit away from blue on the color wheel. And this is a greenish blue. It's a blue that has a bit of green in it. So it's going to shove it that way. So essentially, instead of being like this, we're actually dealing more like that. And I can continue the contrast if I make one of them much lighter or darker than the other. So in this case, I'm going to make this lighter than the runic purple, which is also going to slide it apart, give it more contrast. It's going to be less alike. So that's what you want. That's to have colors that are in harmony with each other and look good together. That's one of the keys. That's why I say people overthink the color wheel. Really, your basic usage for the color wheel is just figuring out, complementary, what's complementary to each other and what is, how can I slide this color further apart? Or if you're trying to do a difficult color scheme with a lot of tertiary colors, like a red, orange, and a blue, green, and all that sort of thing, then you might need to kind of count off on there. But in general, if you feel like you're missing something with the color wheel, you're probably not. It's just that other people are trying to overcomplicate it. The color wheel is a simple beast. All right, so let's see if this blue works. I kind of like it. It looks good next to that purple. Grab it. And it's probably at about a 3-to-1. You don't need it, again, you don't need it super thick. You don't really want it super thick because then if you have to paint over lines to touch them up, if you make it too thick, you're going to get kind of globs of paint on. And with a fine texture, with a fine detail like this, you don't ever want clumpy paint. So I'm using very thin paint. The other thing is, if I go outside the lines with this, it's going to be very evident. Because it's kind of see-through, if it goes onto the purple, it's going to show up much darker. So it's going to be easy to touch up. And you can see how putting down, actually, let me demonstrate that. Well, actually, I put enough white in it that this is carrying pretty well. But normally, with thin paint like this, it would be much lighter and brighter over the white, and that would be a reason to do it. I did put a lot of white in this, and I didn't thin it immensely, so it is somewhat strong over the purple. But normally, the reason I put down the white is to keep that color more bright, so that it shows up better. I still feel like, there, that's more like it. So putting a stripe of that over, let me get this up here. Stay. All right. So I made a little stripe of that blue here, and you can see how when I don't have a lot on my brush, it's really quite dark. This is a tiny little stripe. Whereas when I put the same consistency of paint over the white, it's quite bright. So that's an example of why I did that, why I did the white underpainting. Because it would essentially make it easier to keep these stripes light. Argle? What's up, Spiel? Why Argle? I mean, it is a Monday. It's a Thursday that wants to be a Monday. We know. So if that's the reason for the Argle, then I totally agree. And once again, since I said this at the beginning of the stream, remember, I will not be here tomorrow. My boyfriend, David Diamondstone, who's a brilliant painter, is going to be painting Trista the White Wolf for you guys and showing you some NMM in his crazy organic painting fashion, which will hopefully demonstrate to y'all that, there is no one right way to paint. You can do all sorts of paint techniques and styles and get great results. Try all sorts of stuff. Take classes with all sorts of people. All of them will have something different to teach you. And then when you've got your basic techniques down to the point where you feel more or less, fairly confident, don't be stone cold on it, then kind of decide maybe what style you like, and maybe try to emulate something that the person whose style you really liked has done. So when I started painting to a higher level, Jennifer Haley was just really taking off on eBay and stuff, and I really liked her style, so I chose a model that she had painted, and I kept a photo of her auction on eBay, and I tried to paint the model like she had. So that's a great exercise, and you could do it with any of the models in the Reaper gallery. You can always search for a Derek Schubert painted model, or a Marika, or what, or even mine, and try to paint it like we do. And I don't mean just using the colors in the same places, but look at the highlighting, look at the techniques being used and try to emulate that. So now that blue stripe's coming out really nicely. Actually, I like it. Oh, yeah. Oh, job hunt woes. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, 5 hours on LinkedIn, you poor man. It's a shame that it's too early to drink. Wait, maybe in your time zone it's not. Or woman, I suppose. You could be either. You poor man or woman. You poor person is the proper way I should be saying this. Poor entity. You poor work entity. Work-seeking entity. All the feels. I just totally get that. Bandar. Oh, yeah. No, we're all very different Bandar. You're correct. Well, Reaper Gallery, by that I mean, Pendrake, if you search for any model in the store, the painted version should come up. If there is one. I believe you can also search for things like Forster or Schubert or Reimer or Haley or any of the painters that we have do work for us. And I think that will bring up most of our stuff. Unless the model is canceled. Entity works. Yeah. I could see that, Bandar. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that Caleb and Lovejoy, Caleb and Aaron have totally different styles. But that's the great thing, right? And if you took an airbrush class from, say, Justin, or Justin McCoy, or if you took one from, even Kat, who works with Caleb, she probably has a couple of different things that she does that maybe Caleb, worked for her, and maybe Caleb doesn't do them. So it's the great thing, right? You can get to a great painted model so many different ways. That's why I get upset at people when they present their way as it's like their way or the highway, or like, well, no, this is really the only way to use this technique, or something like that. I never believe in that. Like, that automatically sends up a red flag in my head if I'm dealing with a teacher that's doing that. Because it really is, there are so many different ways to get a great paint job. And I get accused of a paint by numbers approach a lot. I definitely do a this, then that, then that, then that. And part of that is just that I've been teaching for so many years, and that I love to teach beginners and intermediate painters who are trying to get better. And I really enjoy that. But that means that I definitely break it down into very simple steps, even when I'm painting, I tend to go step by step, just like I paint for you guys. Sometimes I make myself switch it up just because I need to break out of the rut. But I mean, you can also paint, I really admire the way that David paints, which is why I'm glad he's doing a show for you guys tomorrow. But he's just so different from me. Like, I would have to change my entire paradigm, like the whole way I think about painting, to paint like David. And eventually, I'm going to get there, and once I've done it, then what you do is you decide if that method works with what you like to do, and then you decide what parts of it you're going to incorporate it into your method. I mean, we all do things different, we've also all learned from each other. So it's an organic process, and I definitely have taken some things from various painters through the years. Like, every time I take a class with a really top-notch painter, I kind of look at their style and afterwards and go, well, do I want any of this, right? Is this the kind of thing I would do? So, and usually I find some small part of their process that makes sense to me and that I would like to incorporate into mine. So with Kirill, it was the textures. Oh, it's Reaper Collins. Oh, thanks, Greek Nikos. Good. I felt you could. Stripes, yes, yes, Collins. I'm doing stripes today. I felt stripey. It's a Monday. It's a Thursday masquerading as a Monday, and so I am showing people how to do stripes. And we'll at least do some shading. We might not get to some highlighting because it is actually already an hour after we started. But yeah, you probably should just rename the stream Stripes, Justin. And then in parentheses, not the Bill Murray movie. For those who get that reference. Youngsters won't, though. But they should see that movie if they haven't. Just like everybody should see Caddyshack and Airplane at least once. Even if some of the jokes are old. Sorry, I need to touch up the stripe and make it shift it a little bit to the left. So I'm going to take my white. Essentially, I used the purple to narrow the stripe, and then I took my white and I made it wider on the other side. So that's how I move a stripe over. He has appropriately played music, exactly. That's a fact, Jack. Yeah, David made an airplane joke the other day, and I was like, yay! He was like, have you seen Airplane? I'm like, I don't even want to tell you how often I watched that when I was a kid, because Dad would have it. He had it on Laserdisc. Yes, that's how long ago that was, guys, when Laserdiscs roamed the world. He invested in Laserdiscs instead of VCRs, and so we had those. Yes, along with any Mel Brooks movie, absolutely. Tuesday through Friday no longer exists. They are Monday the 2nd, Monday the 3rd. Yes. It feels like that sometimes. I just wish that I could get one good night's sleep without being super restless. Maybe I need to, like, either turn the AC colder or, like, use fewer covers on the bed. Maybe it's that I'm just getting too warm. You never know, right? It's all like troubleshooting. You're like, your sleep is messed up and you troubleshoot. You're like, okay, maybe I'll have a little less caffeine today. Okay, maybe I'll, try to eat right today and not have a bunch of junk food. Maybe I'll, do this or that. Maybe I'll exercise today, You're trying to troubleshoot your sleep habits. My problem is that my Fitbit tells me, it backs me up when I feel like I haven't had a good night's sleep, and then it tells me, no, you actually had a crappy night's sleep. That's probably part of the problem. On the other hand, the problem with the Fitbit is that I'm such an overachiever, and the Fitbit has, I've managed to hit like a 90% sleep capacity before, which is, excellent, according to Fitbit. And so now I want that all the time. The Fitbit has maybe made me a little bit, maybe played into my neuroses a little bit much, right? Oh, dear. All right, so a little bit more touch up there. Excellent. So now we have a blue and purple stripy dress. I actually really like it. You like the white better than the blue? I just wanted to go blue. The white, it was just my underpainting. Now, one of the things I did think of doing MCC War is I did just think about going with cream stripes on this, but I wanted to use a cream apron. So keep in mind also, though, this blue isn't going to stay. Like, for example, what we're going to do is we're going to shade and highlight it. So what it will actually turn out looking more like is, let me see if I can just do this super quick. So we're going to go up, and a lot of this stuff, you get it thinned down a bit. There. So we're going to go up to it like an off-white blue to highlight this. So what you see here is a base coat, but remember the color will change because as you highlight it with a lighter blue, it's gonna shift a little lighter, right? So never judge a model by its base coat. It's gonna change a lot as you highlight. This is a very thin paint. I threw a lot of water in there, and I probably shouldn't have, because now it's a little harder to work with and to build up fast. A little bit more white, a little bit more blue. Maybe it'll be a little thicker then. So like, see, even now, as I'm building up these lighter highlights, and I knew that was going to be the case. Actually, I love my bed, HM Road Dog. Like, the one thing that I can absolutely promise you is that it's not my bed, because I've achieved a 90 level sleep score, 90% sleep score in this bed. So I know it's not the bed. The bed is actually wonderful. It's actually near to new, and I normally sleep just fine in it. It's just these last couple nights. So no, I'm not gonna, much as I have been curious about the purple bed, I'm not gonna give in and, order another new bed. Maybe once this bed wears out. The other thing about the purple bed that always made me leery is that I want to be able to kind of lie down on one and try one out before I get it, and I haven't been able to do that, so now I'm just painting the tops of the folds, lighter blue. And that's going to make this skirt lighter. As you can see, you can compare this to this, and I haven't even really gotten started yet. The white was very stark, but I didn't like it so much in person. Had I liked it, I could have gone with a cream or a light gray. If I was going to do white stripes on this dress, I would have gone with a light gray first instead of the white underpainting. So the more light blue that I put, see, the more white it will come up. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, gingham, a plaid is just like more horizontal. You want to vary the thickness of your lines too. And if we were really going to do a gingham, I would have had to do red and white. All right, let's do a quick shadow. What have I got? Ezrin blue. Cyan blue? No, I think Ezrin might be better. Let's try that. And let's grab some, do I have my Monarch purple? I do. So you want a dark color, probably blue or purple. Yeah, I've heard good things about the purple. I just, I know that my bed, I went and picked my bed out 2 years ago, and I'm pretty persnickety about them, and I'm very happy with it. But yeah, it's just, I think it might be temperature. Maybe it's allergies, because it has been terrible allergies for the last couple days as well. So those can definitely influence how you sleep, although I have taken my meds. All right, so I've got two colors here that we're playing with for shadows, just to experiment. We have Ezrin blue. Let me get a down low focus. There we go. One of my favorite purples in my purple giveaway is 9239 Monarch, and then 89528 Ezrin. So essentially, Ezrin is more of a neutral dark blue. Monarch here is a reddish dark purple. So remember, we're using a reddish purple here with runic purple. So I'm also using a reddish purple in my shadow. I don't have to do that. I could go with more of an indigo or a purplish blue, like ultramarine shadow would also work. But we'll thin these down and we will try them and see how they look. They're both pretty saturated for shadows. They're just a little bit desaturated because Ezrin has black in it, and Monarch has it's just a little bit not vibrant. It has enough different pigments in it to make it not as bright as like a clear purple. Francis, if you look at it, it's not lighter all the way. What we have here are highlights and shadows. So there is highlight on the upper part of the fold. The original blue stays here, and here, and here. So the original blue is staying in the shadows. And the lighter blue is on the highlights. And now I can deepen the shadows a little bit with these additional dark colors. So what I am doing is highlighting and shading the stripes. If you're going to put a freehand pattern on, you have to at least pay attention to shading. If you're doing tattoos, like, for example, on a very flat area like Elf Dude, you know, then you could get away, maybe, with not. But even here, like, I've kept it darker in the shadow here, and I need to go over and shade this a little bit more here, you know, and maybe I can glaze a little lighter over the face, you know, to bring that up there. So you do need to pay attention to highlights and shadows. You don't want to paint a pattern on and have it be flat. In fact, I'll probably even add some more pure white with some of those blue parts. Hold on. Let's see. And I wasn't sure how light I was going to go with the highlights on the stripes too. So that's why I started with a fairly light blue and then I went up. Now let's try to go down. And the nice thing about darker colors is they do tend to be translucent already. So they're easy to thin down for this sort of treatment. These folds are pretty shallow. Like, they're not very deep. You can kind of see that they aren't very deep at all. So I don't want a heavy shadow here. I'm going to try to use... What do I do? I'm going to do the purple. You want it pretty thin. And then you're going to paint it, like, right under the fold. And get it where you can, like, kind of fuzz it out. Layer it a little bit. See how that brings out the fold there. And then, this is actually a little bit thick. I'm going to see if I can do it. Let's see here. Where's another fold? There's shadow under here. I can paint this purple into. It's a little bit here. Little shadow underneath the apron here. Can't have that just end, so I need to put that shadow there. A little bit down here. I don't want to lose all my blue either. I'm just trying to give a little extra dimension, see, to her apron without losing the blue. But yeah, you want dimension if you're going to put, you know, it is a 3D model. It does have highlights and shadows. So pretty much I was using my mid-tone blue and then my highlight and then my shadow. I have lost a little bit of my blue that I need there, so I'm going to grab a little bit of this guy and reintroduce it there. Don't want to lose it all. Anywhere where my blue is maybe a little bit darker, I can also take, if I wanted to, I could take and do a mix of my purple and my blue for the shadows down here and do it that way. And you always want, you know, your shadow to be a shadow, obviously. Now I'm going to highlight a little bit more here. And the stripe got a little bit wide, I think. So I may have to slim it down, but I want to bring up this highlight where it goes up here. Where the area sticks out is highlighted. Up here is probably highlighted. I'm going to brighten these a little bit. To see how now the folds in her dress stand out. Whereas before, the folds in her dress were totally flat. All you could see was stripes. So that essentially gives you that three-dimensionality that you're dealing with, that you want. You want to bring out the details of the sculpt. You don't just want to totally ignore those folds because they're a nice detail. So the sculptor will be sad if you just ignore the folds. Wouldn't want to make our sculptors sad. Doing a little mix of the purple and the blue because this is a little bit too bright down here. So yeah, so what we've been doing really is highlighting and shading. Stripes. Somebody asked about a gingham pattern or a plaid. If you're going to do that also, you'll want to get a photo reference of what you're trying to paint to make sure that you're placing your stripes right, you often will have to simplify it because a lot of the stripes on modern plaids are so thin that you might have to just use like the biggest stripes to make it look right. Put a little bit of pure white, just a tiny bit. I usually say don't use pure white unless you're doing like metal or shininess, but we could always have these stripes be a satin ribbon. Also, if you're thinning your pure white, it's not going to pop like a real white highlight would. But yeah, so kind of like that. So there, guys. And then, of course, I do much similar with, and it depends on what highlight color I'd want with the purple. But right now, if I just want to throw some white into it, I can highlight that as well. Right, exactly. Yeah, it's right, exactly. You don't need much highlight and shadow. You just need a little bit. And now I need to highlight my purple accordingly. Just a little. To bring out those same folds. So that it's consistent. I could go a little lighter with that, probably. This is a nice model to do a whimsical pattern like this on. Any townsfolk models are good for this sort of thing. Just fancy dress. Not that you couldn't have your sorceress in a stripy dress. It's just that usually we don't see that, right? We should see more patterns on adventurers. But they probably figure, well, it's going to get covered with gore, monster blood, and crazy stuff anyway. Ichor and mold spores and monster drool, hellhound drool. There. Bring up my highlights more. See how that's coming up. Just by highlighting these purple stripes just a little. I don't want to make my highlights too broad on the purple because I don't want to lose that light dark contrast I've got going on. So you can see now, see how flat that looks. And then compare to that front apron. And hopefully that will answer the question as to why I did not just leave it blue. Probably not MC War. If I would have used a yellow, I usually would go for a brown with shading on that. Rather than, because if you go with a blue, it's going to go green. You can use purple to shade yellow. It works actually quite well, and runic purple is one of the purples you can use. I did it on the seahorse back when I was painting the seahorse during Bones 5. If you go back and look at that during the Kickstarter, I think maybe, I don't remember if did you call it a seahorse when you were putting those up, Justin? Like, could they search seahorse and find those hippocampus ones, or did you put it up as a hippocampus?
When we painted that, I think we put it up as the hippocampus.
All right.
I didn't use seahorse. I used hippocampus, I believe.
All right. So you search for that.
Yeah, I'm also, as far as like, so as you can imagine, all of the digital media stuff was a massive undertaking, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a list of projects the size of Texas. And one of those projects, of course, is to completely overhaul the organization and the taglines, basically, and searchable functions of all of the videos that basically I've helped produce and put out.
Right.
So with that being said, it's obviously, I'm one person, so I've got all these things I'd like to do. When I get to it is when I get to it, I guess, unfortunately. But basically, when it happens, though, I'd like to be able to say when someone wants to search seahorse, they can get it, or when someone wants to search hippocampus, they can get it.
Right.
Same thing kind of is my ideal for the website. Obviously, that's not my realm of control, but imagine on the website if you just search seahorse or hippocampus and you could get the same result.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with videos. Just like someone had asked me recently on the Discord if I could organize a playlist of the VODs on Twitch. And I've been looking into that. It doesn't seem to be as immediately simple as it is on YouTube.
Right.
but it's not immediately out of the realm of possible. It just
Right.
doesn't seem super possible right now.
Right. Yeah. So if you saw the Seahorse MCC War, then you saw that I used purple to shade the yellow, and it made an orange color. So I could use runic purple to shade yellow, if I was doing that. My shadow color is going to change depending on my color I'm working with, though, as you mentioned. The only like constant is if I'm working on bigger models, I will often use walnut brown to shade everything. I will essentially mix it with the color to create a shadow, but I will always mix that one color in just because it makes a very natural shadow. One thing I do want to bring up, guys, is that the harder and sharper I bring up these highlights, like the more toward white and the sharper I do them, the more shiny this cloth is going to look. Notice that it's starting to look shinier when I added those pure white pops and when I popped up the highlights a bit brighter. And this is making your highlights small and sharp, gives you a shiny effect. So if I take some pure white here and I try to really get like a bit of shiny going on all these areas, that's going to start to look really, really like maybe like a satin here. Let me see. I'll need to tone it down just a little bit because those are a little bit bright and they're not going with it entirely. So let me grab some of my pink here. I have runic purple plus white and blend them in just a little bit. Ah, too much paint on my brush. Hate it when that happens. Blorf. Scrape it off. Get some more. So yeah, the smaller and sharper. And it's not just bringing all your highlights up to white. It's doing it in a very small area so that you still have extreme darks next to those bright whites. So that's going to make your dress look... See how that's starting to look shiny now? Yeah. So that's how you do shiny cloth. If you want to do that sort of effect, is you've got to, just like with NMM, you want to bring it up with that white highlight. So there, you didn't know I was going to show you how to do like satin, did you? But you have to be also purposeful about where you put those highlights. It's got to be where the light is going to glance off of the fabric at the appropriate angle. So this is all something that you could learn as you start to like play with NMM and where to put the highlights to get that suggestion. Kind of like so. Like that's starting to look a little bit shinier now. Well, you know, Sigwolf, she's already wearing her fancy dress to pick flowers, and I do have to admit that there are times I wear fancy clothes to paint, even though it's impractical, just because I feel fancy that day. So I think that Miss Juliana is perhaps just a fancy person. And that, you know, you can, you know, be that townsperson who gossips about her behind her back about her fancy dress wear when she goes flower picking. Or you can just, you know, go with it. I think it gives the model a little bit more personality if she's wearing, you know, pretty fabric out to pick flowers. It's for a photo op, yeah. You don't know that she's not posing for the cover of, you know, Vanity Fair. Exactly, right, Spiel? Yeah, photo op. I like that. That's great. But that lets you guys see kind of how you do it if you want a shiny dress. Ta-da! Yeah, it's somebody's old dress, right, Twisted Oma? It still cost 1,000 gold, but it cost 1,000 gold back in the day, so now she gardens in it. It's definitely not high fashion anymore, so it's just, you know, throwaway dress. It was high fashion 2 years ago. Now you can only be seen in it if you're gardening in it. But this was an opportunity to show you guys how to do that technique. So now I have shown you, and now you can all be, you know, like, wow, hey, cool, I can do this. There. So base coat, and you can see the difference. Flat, cool. Yeah, exactly. Nice one, Real Chibi Army. Herbalism Monthly. Yeah, there we go. Herbalism Monthly, where all of the models look fantastic, and they're all looking at the plant they just picked with that look. Only they have no idea. You know, they're hired for the photo shoot, and they really, you know, have no idea what that plant is, but they look like they do, so they're all good. Unless, of course, there's a famous herbalist who's oh, I missed some stripes. who's posing on the cover. I suppose they actually know what the plant is. Yeah, and these stripes are kind of suspect anyway. I need to tighten them up. But you guys get the idea. So there we go. We have shiny fabric and stripes on fabric. Oh my gosh, we actually got productive and made a cool thing today. And also, I like the dress. Ah, it's lovely.
Yeah, that freehand is pretty cool.
Yay! Thanks. I'm glad you think so, Justin. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Any questions? It's 11, so it's time. Well, it's 11 in my world, so it's time for us to wrap it so that I can start getting that little Curie dog outside.
All right.
We got anything?
I got a raid for us.
You got a raid for us. Oh my gosh, that was quick. What do you got?
Let's here.
He's thinking.
Oh, well, the raid I was gonna have does not seem to be applicable anymore. Hold on.
I wish that oil painting guy was on again. He was on yesterday and was working on an Overwatch piece, and I was just so excited. I was hoping he would be working on it again today.
Never mind. It's good. We're good.
We're good?
We're gonna be raiding Zambies.
Ah, yeah, stripes aren't that bad, Sigwolf. Once you get into it. Zambies. All right, Zambies. Yes, yeah, we're gonna do the Zambies.
I wanted to rate Zambi. She's it's just her category says NA for some reason, even though she's clearly in the art. That's a Twitch
Weird.
problem, I assume.
Yeah, Twitch issue. Twitch you. Woof, that sounds like a sneeze. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Remember, get back tomorrow. Please give David lots of viewers. Okay? We want to encourage him to maybe do this again for you guys. So tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, for my beloved doing his best to wow you with NMM on Trista the White Wolf. Okay? So be sure to be here. We'll be here. I'm even giving him my chair. Alrighty. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you guys very much. Don't forget, we have Painting Platinum today at 3 p.m. Central, and then we have Reaper Live at 6. You guys don't want to miss it. I promise. All right. We'll see you guys later.